Hi guys, Belle here once again. We are going to be talking about Restoration Druid spells and talents in Legion Alpha. Let's dive right in here. I just wanted you guys to see the artifact weapon. Pretty nice, pretty great stats. If you have not watched previous videos and you haven't seen the more condensed menu, here it is. I'm being healed from this lovely druid down here. Let's jump right into some of the ways that we are doing things here in Legion for Restoration Druids. So as Restoration as such, your mastery of course is going to be Harmony. Your healing will be increased by 12% for each of your Restoration heals over time effects on a target. Going to be utilizing these core abilities when it comes to healing: your healing touch, your regrowth, your rejuvenation, life bloom, your efflorescence, which did replace the wild mushroom. I was told recently that the efflorescence used to be a thing in Kata. I didn't druid then, so I didn't start healing on my druid until this last expansion. You're also going to utilize Swift Mend, Wild Growth, Living Seed, and Omen of Clarity, sorry, not Oment. And Omen of Clarity and Living Seed are passive abilities, just so that you are aware. So let's talk about what healing looks like in Legion as a druid. Here's a look at your spells and where they are, what they do, all the good things, just to give you a quick overview of what's here. As you see, your passive abilities here and all that good stuff. The artifact weapon is, this is the ability that you get from your artifact weapon. It's release the natural power within Gunnar to increase the frequency that all of your heals over time affects heal allies by 50% for 8 seconds, which is pretty powerful. It does have a small cooldown. It's 1.5 is not really terrible when it comes to cooldowns, because it could of course be a lot worse. So let's jump right in and let's talk about your talents. So for your first set of talents, you have Prosperity. This does give your Swift Men 2 more charges, or 2 charges rather, and it is a passive, so it just instantly gives you your 2. Your good old Standby Cenarian Ward protects a friendly target for 30 seconds. Any damage taken will consume the ward and heal the target for an additional 180k, we'll say, over 6 seconds. That's pretty large. And then your good old Germination, which is a passive ability. You can apply Rejuvenation twice on the same target. Pretty nifty when it comes to a lot of boss fights, especially for tanks. Your Renewal, which is your second set, it's an instant, but it is a 2-minute cooldown. Instantly heals you for up to 30% of your maximum health, usable in all shapeshift forms. This is going to be an excellent oh shit button. Your Displacer Beast, we all know what that does. Does teleport, increases your moving speed. This is going to be useful in a lot of PvP scenarios when you need to get away quick or do your thing, especially if you're en route following the flag carrier and that flag carrier happens to be supersonic fast, such as the Rogue. You also have your Wild Charge. Everybody knows what that is. It is a 15-second cooldown, and it changes depending upon what form you are in. We talked about this in all the other Druid videos. We talked about how they're integrating all the Druid abilities into a certain subset of talents that you can utilize for your Druid. So right now we're Restoration. We could choose some Balance Affinity, which will give us, it does give you the Astral Influence, so it does increase all of your abilities to an additional 5 yards. You also get your Moonkin Form, Star Search, and Lunar Strike while being a healer. You also could pick some Feral Affinity, which this gives you Feline Swiftness, and you also get Shred, Rip, Ferocious Bite, and Swipe. Pretty nice as a healer. I have to be 100% honest with you. I know as a healer, it's really, really difficult for you to do a lot of solo gameplay, just because you're so reliant. You know, the spells that you do get as a healer aren't really a lot of damage dealers, so I think that it was really nice that they gave you these options for use on situations. You also get the Guardian Affinity, which does gives you the Thick Hide, so you do have a reduced damage taken by 10%, and you also get to take advantage of Mangle, Thrash, Iron Fur, and Frenzied Regeneration. I see these being super useful in a PvP aspect, because you can do still a lot of damage and be able to defend yourself as a healer, and help in team fights. You can help with arenas, certain types of situations. I feel like this was a really, really good part on Blizzard's when Blizzard had this idea in mind. I think this is really, really nice of them to do, because for Balanced Druid you can choose, you know, Restoration Affinity, that allows you to have some of these heals as well, which I did showcase in the other videos. I like Blizzard's line of thinking here, and I'm hoping that this is going to really highlight the easeability and the utility of druids of all specs, really, because druid is a phenomenal class. Your next set is going to be your good old-fashioned Mighty Bash, Mass Entanglement, and Typhoon. Now, you're going to use these all situationally. 99% of them are going to be for PvP. I'm sure you guys use them in PvE, but I only see its uses as utilities in PvP, such as taking Typhoon when you need to knock people off at Lumber Mill or Eye of the Storm, taking Mass Entanglement when you need to root people to keep them out of the circle, or to root flag carriers when you're trying to get your team to kill them, and then your good old-fashioned Mighty Bash, which is a stun, and this is super useful when it comes to arenas. Also have the next set is going to be your Soul of the Forest. Soul of the Forest is passive. When you cast Swiftmend, you do gain Soul of the Forest, increasing all your healing for the next regrowth or rejuvenation by 200%. Now, you can also increase the healing of your next wild growth by 75%. That's super powerful. As a passive ability, I do think that's pretty legit when you do use Swiftmend. The Incarnation Tree of Life, it's a 3-minute cooldown. Obviously, for each of the specs of the Druid, they have a form of incarnation, and it's pretty large. Shapeshift into Tree of Life, which is your, that's, your God mode for tree form. This is going to be your oh shit, especially if you're getting DPS down in a PvP situation and you're trying to get those heals off. You always hear your RBG leader go kill the tree or stun the tree, whatever. This does increase all your healing done by 15%, increases your armor by 120%, which is why it's used as kind of a oh shit button, and granting protection from any polymorph effects, which is super useful if you're in PvP and you have a mage on the opposing team in a team fight. Functionality of Rejuvenation, Wild Growth, Regrowth, and Entangling Roots is enhanced. The last 30 seconds, it gives you 30 seconds of that. The cool thing about this, you can shapeshift in and out of form without losing this ability. So that entire 30-second duration, you're going to be able to take advantage of that. I'm sure you guys have already seen the Earth Warden here. This Earth Warden is already at, we've got its damage of your next auto attack will be reduced by 30%. That's pretty amazing. I just wanted to make sure that I stopped to highlight that. Now, your next set here is going to be your Cultivation. When Rejuvenation heals a target below 60% health, it applies Cultivation to the target, healing them for about 32k over 6 seconds. This is, of course, at base stats wearing your Wild Combatant gear. This is also a passive ability. In your next set here, we've got Abundance, which is passive. For each Rejuvenation you have active, the last time... the cast time of the healing touch is reduced by 10%, and the critical effect chance of regrowth is increased by 10%. Your Inner Peace, which is another passive ability, does reduce the cooldown of Tranquility by 60 seconds, which is pretty nice because your Tranquility is probably going to be really, really useful in PvE, especially if you guys are taking a lot of raid damage, and also PvP when you're trying to heal in team fights. Your Spring Blossoms, which is also another passive, each target healed by efflorescence is healed for an additional, up to, let's say, 14k over 6 seconds. Since efflorescence is an AoE heal, this is going to be super powerful, and I can see a lot of instances when you might choose this, maybe specifically PvP for RBG situation, or maybe some boss fights. This Inner Peace, though, I think is pretty legit because it does reduce the cooldown of that Tranquility. So this is, I don't know which one I would choose. I would suppose that it would just be on a situational basis, but being able to have that cooldown reduced, which takes it down to a 2-minute cooldown, that's pretty awesome because you can get a lot of use out of that. Your last set of talents here is going to be your Moment of Clarity. Omen of Clarity now affects your next 3 regrowth spells, which we did talk about your Omen of Clarity as being your passive ability. Your healing over time from Life Bloom has a 4% chance to cause a clear casting state, making your next regrowth cost no mana. So here with this Moment of Clarity, it'll affect the next 3 regrowths, which could be super powerful in a lot of healing situations. You also have a Stone Bark, which is a passive ability. This does reduce the cooldown of your Iron Bark by 30 seconds. Super important if you're trying to keep your tank up. And it increases the healing from your heals over time effects by 20%. I can see this being huge in a lot of uses, and it's a super resourceful utility that you could probably also use in arenas as well when you're trying to keep your damage dealer up in a fight. In this same set of talents, you also have your Flourish, which is an instant ability. It is a 1-minute cooldown. It extends the duration of all your heal over time effects on a friendly target within 60 yards for 6 seconds. I really think that this is going to be super useful in PvE, but I also see this being useful in arenas as well. Especially because the heals over time are so important in those moments. So these are basically the way that the way that they work out. Your Cenarian Ward's still pretty awesome. I'm just gonna choose some crap here to, we'll do Guardian Affinity. I'm just gonna pick some stuff. Obviously you like your tree. Not really sure what you would choose here. Everybody likes tree form. It's specific to a lot of things. I'm just gonna choose that, and then this doesn't really matter because all I'm gonna do now is just kind of showcase the spell animation. So you guys have probably noticed when I talked about Efflorescence does have the icon, is different, still get all that usefulness. Here's the way that your spells look. I don't know, I haven't Druid healed in a really, really long time, so the Revitalize is super, super long. And then here's your, why did I hit Revitalize again? Sorry about that, guys. That was not my greatest moment. Then you have your Swift Mend, and then I wanted to show you, this is your essence, this is your ability from your artifact weapon, and then you have your Tranquility, which seems to have gotten a slight bit of buff as far as the looks are concerned. So still pretty cool, pretty happy with all the animations. That looks so awesome. Yeah, I dig that. So there's your abilities. They're the way that they work out. Here's all the beautifulness that is the Restoration Druid. Druids have always been super strong healers. There's not a lot of things Druids are bad at, guys. They're pretty much amazing no matter which way you slice it. So that's it for our Restoration Druid look at. Keep in mind, guys, that it is alpha. A lot of things will change. If there's anything specific you guys would like me to talk about in one of these videos, I am here for you. That's why I have alpha access, is to dive into all things. So feel free to comment on the video and let me know what you would like me to look at. If you're watching this video, you're already here. Why not give this video a like? The likes tell me that you love me, and I appreciate that. If you're new to the PWNCAST channel, make sure you give us a nice subscribe so you can stay up to date on all things Legion. I'm going to get out of here. It's time for me to go on the hunt for tacos.